Conversation with the Candidate continues right now.
Thank you for clicking on our extended conversation with the candidate, former Governor Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas. I almost kept you in your old job there for a second. Term limits.
Exactly.
So the next 30 minutes are commercial free. We want to get to as many questions as we can. I'll have a few follow-ups here and there, but let's get started with Ron Janowitz.
Hello, Governor.
Hello, Ron.
Do you support the U.S. effort to fund and assist Ukraine in whatever it takes for them to be able to take the country back from Russia?
The short answer is yes. Now, obviously, audits are important. How the money is used, what kind of level of support, those are all fair questions and part of U.S. policy. But fundamentally, we should be supporting Ukraine. I support that, and I do because, first of all, they're a sovereign country and their sovereignty was invaded. Secondly, you can see that they're oppressed and civilians are being killed. And America should always support the oppressed versus the oppressor. And so this is important. And it also is important because we must demonstrate once again our strength as a nation and our consistent reliability with our allies. And we failed in those responsibilities when we came out of Afghanistan. The world saw weakness, and as a result was Russia goes in Afghanistan, China becomes more aggressive toward Taiwan. And it's interesting that Taiwan is supporting Ukraine with actual dollars in military assistance. And that tells you how they see it in their national interest. And it's in our national interest as well to support Ukraine. And so I think we need to be more nimble in our support for them. For example, whether you're talking about the Abrams tanks, we were slow in making a decision to give them Abrams tanks, Ukraine, and then we have to go through a long training. And so I talked to General Milley, and he says it's going to be this fall before we get it to them. Well, they're having a spring offensive now. The United States is a great country. Let's do things a little bit quicker. And now we're the F-16s. I thought it was a fair question when they asked for F-16 support, fighter pilot support, training for that. Well, it took this administration about 6 months to say yes. Well, so we're moving too slow. We don't want a prolonged war, so let's get the assistance to them more quickly where they have a chance to win more quickly as well.
Mark Boyd with our next question.
Governor, welcome back to New Hampshire and bringing that Arkansas weather with you.
Thank you, Mark.
We appreciate it. I believe Arkansas, New Hampshire, and American citizens have a common issue, and that is that we pay the highest price for prescription drugs in the world. To the point many have to make that decision. Do I buy my prescription drugs or do I put food on the table? And it's not an easy one. I ask you, if you were elected president, what would you do to help us?
You know, that's a tough question because you look at the high pricing of our pharmaceuticals and the easy solution is, let's say we can get more from Canada, we can go out of the state, you can buy things online. We know that the market is cheaper outside the United States. And so it's a commitment that I would make to address that challenge that we face. There's been some solutions. One, competition is always good, where you can have generics on the marketplace to make sure that there's options for the consumer. The access to the market is important to making sure, in Arkansas, we put in PBM legislation, which reduced the power of the conglomerates. It strengthened the power of the individual pharmacies in making acquisitions. So all of that's an important part of competition in the marketplace, and that helps keep the price down. But I'll certainly look at other options as well.
Thank you, Governor.
George Matthews has our next question.
Thanks for coming. Pro-life should always include the mother. I've had several friends that have had troubled pregnancies, and if abortion services were not available, they probably would not be with us any longer. Given that the so-called exceptions that some states have included are actually too ambiguous for doctors to risk their careers and freedom, what will you do to protect the mothers?
Well, thank you. And this is one of the most challenging issues that will be discussed in the 2024 election. And you're right, it's compassion on a problem pregnancy or a crisis pregnancy that, how do you deal with that? As a matter of conviction, I believe that life in the womb represents life and deserves protection. But the debate and my concerns would be the exceptions. And so I certainly support reasonable restrictions on abortion, but also reasonable exceptions. Life of the mother in the cases of rape and incest as well. And the other aspect is that Arkansas is a very pro-life state. We have very restrictive abortion law in Arkansas, and that reflects the culture of our state and the values of our state. New Hampshire, under our current rules, gets to make different decisions. You get to determine what are the rules and restrictions that you put into place here in New Hampshire. And I think that's the way it's going to be for some time, even though there will be a debate as to whether there's any consensus at the national level. To me, the key is making sure that we have adoption services, that we invest in maternal health care, and we make sure that we have the proper exceptions whenever we deal with the question of abortion.
Thank you.
Governor, you mentioned that national consensus and the discussion that's going on in this election cycle. Obviously, if the Senate rules don't change, it's going to take a sea change in the Senate for either Democrats or Republicans to get what they want. Right. But if you're the president, where are you drawing the line in terms of weeks of gestation where you think a national ban might be drawn?
Well, whenever you look at the first point's correct, that you'd have to have the White House and the Congress supermajorities in one party before you're going to have a consensus, because there's such a difference of opinion between the Democrats and the Republicans on that. And so that's why it's most likely going to remain in the states. I have said that if Congress presents me a bill that has reasonable exceptions to it and reasonable restrictions, then I, as a pro-life president, will sign that. I've never vetoed any pro-life legislation that protects the unborn, but they would want to make sure that those exceptions are in place that are important, and that the restrictions, the time frames that you're speaking of, are reasonable. So let's just see how that debate goes forward. But like I said, it's most likely to remain in the states.
We have an online question now from Max Logan, who asks, do you agree with overriding school librarians in order to ban books?
Overriding school librarians. You know, a library is receiving public funds, and the library is usually governed by community citizens that oversees the librarian. So I wouldn't want all that pressure to be on a librarian. And I've looked at this issue. The solution is not the state passing laws or banning particular books. It's about the library itself, with proper community guidance, saying how are we going to have protections for our children so they're not exposed to what they shouldn't be exposed to. And usually they put the sensitive topics in a parental-only consent section or an adult section. And so these things can be worked out at the local level, and librarians have a tough choice, and that's why the community should be involved in what should be available to the community in terms of public supported books.
Next question from Benjamin Bolger.
Hi, Governor.
Hi.
My name is Ben Bolger. Nice to have you here. A lot of politicians talk about the importance of addressing our national deficit, which is obviously important. We should not overspend on a yearly basis. My question to you is, what should we do about our national debt, which is amazingly large?
Well, I came up with a great slogan for my campaign, and it's called Debt Free in 33. Isn't that a great slogan? But all the economists say it's impossible to meet that goal. So that's my heart. You know, I would love to address that debt, and the key is it will be addressed in my administration, and the key is starting to address it. And so right now we have a $32 trillion debt. It looks like Congress is going to extend that, even though they got some guardrails on limiting future spending. It's not enough. We have to do more, because that's a responsibility that we have for the next generation. New Hampshire is a good model for us. You constrain government, you limit the role of government, and your citizens don't expect everything from government. And we've got to approach that a little bit more tight-fisted at the federal level. I intend, as I said, to reduce the non-defense federal employment by 10%. I did that as governor. We can do that as president. We can tighten that budget. And so you start by getting a handle on the deficit and start whittling away with that national debt and being mindful of it every day.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Chris Stawas.
Hi, Governor. Welcome back to New Hampshire.
Yes.
We touched on the opioid epidemic a few moments ago. How would your administration address the Chinese connection, the precursor chemicals that the DEA continues to report are freely flowing into Mexico and other places that are fueling the epidemic here in New Hampshire?
A great question. And first of all, the relationship with China is strained. There's not cooperation. There's animosity and friction between the two leading economies in the world. When it comes to the precursor chemicals that come from China, first of all, the precursor chemicals to fentanyl and the opioids are lawful they actually have a legitimate medical use. And so, the medical community relies upon some of those. What the DEA asks is, and it's part of the international rules, is let's control those. They're controlled substances, and so you have to have good reporting systems. You have to have transparency as to where it's going and how they're going to be controlled. China doesn't follow any of those rules. Now, there's two choices. One, try to make China follow the rules, which we haven't been successful at very well. We can use economic pressure. I'm certainly willing to use economic pressure to get their cooperation. But fundamentally, the key is Mexico. And so even if those chemicals come from Mexico come from China into Mexico, it goes into their ports. It has the Mexican reporting system that we should be aware of. They should be able to have controls there, but they're not standing up to the cartels. The cartels are taking those, buying them from China, making them in the labs, and Mexico has not taken a stand against the cartels. And so, to me, Mexico is a greater part of the key, even though China is probably the greatest part of the problem. And so, we're going to put pressure on both, but that's the difficulty that you see. And we got to be realistic about this. Most of the fentanyl that's coming into our country is coming in through our ports of entry, through those that are driving vehicles in and individuals coming in. We have to increase our inspection, have to increase our technologies, and we also have to go after those labs, the source of supply in Mexico.
Thank you. Governor, some of your fellow candidates are proposing some kind of military action in Mexico over this. Do you see that as a wise course of action?
I love many of the candidates that are running. We're good friends, but some of them's got some really bad ideas. And for example, I don't think we ought to raise the voting age to 25. I think 18. I always remember me bringing my sons and grandsons and granddaughter in to vote, and the lessons that that learns for them and the habit for a lifetime. And so whenever it comes to using the military, we used it in Colombia. And Colombia cooperated with us in going after the FARC and the narco-terrorism that was existing there, but we had Colombia's cooperation. And if you don't have their cooperation in Mexico, if you use the military and you go in there and you bomb the labs, that is actually called an invasion of our neighbor, and that's not what America is about. Now, we've got a challenge because those labs are killing Americans, and so you got to address it, but let's use economic pressure. Let's be successful in that. Let's get Mexico's cooperation in going after them. And when I was head of the DEA, I went down and visited with President Vicente Fox of Mexico. And I said, we need your help in going after the cartels, because methamphetamine was a challenge then. And he said, yes, we'll help you. And together we worked simultaneously in cooperation, sharing intelligence, and using the military for intelligence purposes and support. We actually relied upon the Mexican police that shot and killed Ramon Ariana Felix, head of the Tijuana cartel, and captured Benjamin Ariana Felix. That's what happened with the cooperation that I was able to build with the support of the administration when I was head of the DEA. So it can be done, but that's the right way to approach it.
Laura Landerman Garber has our next question.
Welcome to New Hampshire, and you're doing great. Better than even on The View. We're doing better than The View, right?
You are good.
I've worked for the last 5 years with the Arkansas Department of Education on a project that supports our veterans, our military families, and our troops on signing holiday cards for the military. And I know that you actually have joined in and signed some of those. You sent me a Christmas card, which I really appreciated. Your students and your teachers have signed tens of thousands of cards, which is wonderful. So as president, how would you encourage, what steps would you take for our nation, from school children to businesses to leadership, to support our troops? I mean, and we know that there's incredible stresses, 22 plus suicides a day. Yeah. What are your plans, concrete plans, to support our military?
Well, great question, and thank you. Thank you for working with educators to support the military and our families. And also, as you said, the greatest value is our students who learn that appreciation for what our men and women in service are doing. The first thing we need to do for our military is to give them the right equipment. That we need to have state-of-the-art equipment for their protection as well as for their military objectives. So we've got to invest in the military. Secondly, we got to show appreciation every day to our Gold Star families that have lost loved ones, to the veterans that come back. That's one of the reasons in Arkansas we exempted from state income tax military retirement income. And that way you can serve 20 years in the military, you can get a retirement check, we're not taxing it, and guess what? You still are great leaders, you are investing in business, you're paying taxes other ways, but so it makes economic sense, but it's a way to show support for it. We also helped our military by making sure that the spouses who follow the military families have an easy access to licensure. They're coming into a new state, they got a temporary assignment, they might be a nurse, they might be some other type of professional. Make sure they have easy access to licensure so you can work there and remove those obstacles. We actually created, under my leadership, the Military Affairs Committee, which is every community partnering with our military installations so that we could support the military community. And that's just an example that, as a nation, we need to do the same.
Well, you all are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next question from Hello Ross, and I'll get you some water, Governor.
Hi, nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for being here. If you are elected president, would you consider abolishing the Federal Department of Education?
I have considered it, and I'll always consider it because that's part of trying to be efficient in government. But let's think it through. The Department of Education has Pell Grants, which I think really serve a good purpose in helping our students get an education. They have student loan program, which has been abused under the Biden administration terribly, but is still effective. I went to law school on a student loan. I paid it back, by the way. But these are important functions of the Department of Education. And so where are you going to put those functions if you abolish the Department of Education? You can put it in HHS, you can put it in some other department, but that doesn't give me the management tools that I need as president. And so I want to reduce the size of the Department of Education, reduce their footprint, bring them under control, specify their mission, reduce their mission, and make them successful in what they do in the limited programs that are important for them. I don't want my Department of Education to give 10% of the money that supports education across America, but dictate 90% of the policy. We're going to give the states flexibility to carry out education.
Thank you so much.
Follow up for you, Governor. What can the federal government do then to make it so higher education isn't so costly, that the students aren't in need of so many loans?
Well, first you think about higher education, some of it are state institutions, some of them are private institutions, and the private institutions are the worst culprits in terms of high cost and taking advantage of those student loans and the different things that make that available. And so competition is the key. And the challenge in higher education and competition is that you as parents, grandparents, you think about your college age children or grandchildren. How do they make a decision on what college to go to? Do they make a decision based upon cost? Whether I have to get a loan or not? Can I pay for this? Can I afford this? What's their academic credentials? How do they treat conservatives on campus? Those are qualities that ought to be considered by the consumers in making decisions. But yet, so often, it's, well, I went to this state school and I was a member of this fraternity, so I really want my son or daughter to go there. And so there are a lot of factors that go in that reduce the competition. And that's a consumer choice. So consumers, you all make price a factor in where you're getting the education and paying for it. And let's make sure that our states are appointing board of trustees that are price conscious and that are work on efficiency. We adopted a productivity funding model in Arkansas that rewards productivity versus just simply the number of students that are there. And so most of these responsibilities come from the state and local governments. Limited role of the federal government, but we can stop the federal government from pushing a leftist social agenda to our schools. That to me is important, not just what you do as the federal government, but what you don't do, and I think that's what has to be cut back. But in terms of the price, you use your bully pulpit, you make sure that the states and the local governments are doing their job.
Next question from Bess Mosley.
I'll give you a minute to get another sip.
I'm good. I'll just.
Thank you, though, for being here. If Donald Trump is the 2024 Republican candidate, will you support him? And if so, why or why not?
Well, you know, I started out running months ago, and I was in the non-Trump lane. Now, I was careful not to say the anti-Trump. It's a non-Trump lane because we want to get the Trump voters and say, if we want to win, we all have consistent conservative values, and so let's have a different option for the future. And so we want to bring everybody together. Now, the non-Trump lane is getting more crowded these days. A lot of people are announcing, and why is that happening? It's because they believe we need to have, as a party and as a country, a different choice than Donald Trump. And so that's the reality of it. Now, I have always supported the Republican nominee. I was chairman of the party in Arkansas. I've built a Republican Party in our state, along with a lot of other good people, and we became the majority party. So I'm a loyal Republican. I intend to support the nominee of our party. I just don't expect it to be Donald Trump. Now, I know that has to be a dramatic change in the poll numbers right now, but I have confidence in our party, and I think the desire for a different direction is clear by the number of significant leaders in the party saying, let's have a different option if we want to win in 2024. Now, I will say that I think I'm the best option to win in 2024. So I hope I'm the nominee, and I intend to support the nominee of the party.
Thank you.
Follow up for you there, Governor. You seem to exude this cool, calm, collected conservatism. Do you think that can win over voters who really want the fire-breathing sort of conservative that we see, that Trump embodies?
I hope you all see some passion, both in my history. It takes some passion to change the things as governor that I did in Arkansas. It took passion when I was in the Congress to actually balance the budget and to work with others to get that done. Passion is a conviction for your beliefs and a willingness to stand for them. I've been in the courtroom. I fought for justice. I know how to fight. I know how to fight against the establishment. And to me, you can be a person of conviction and leadership and still have a smile on your face. You can also have the belief that we're truly public servants, working for the public good and not your self-interest. And to me, that's the Republican Party. That's what I offer. And I think that's what America wants and needs.
Another online question here. A lot of Granite State flavor to these with taxpayers here. Jeffrey Brown asking, do you plan on asking for tax cuts for the working class, those making between $40,000 and $80,000 per year?
Tax cuts? Well, if you look at what we've done in Arkansas, we gave tax cuts across the board. We started off with lower income, the first tax cut, then we went to middle income, then we lowered the rate that benefited everyone. When you're looking at federal tax policy, I believe that the most important thing is that it's fair, as I've said, and so if you show me unfairness in our tax system, then we want to make that correction. If there's a loophole that's unfair, that doesn't benefit the right sector of our population, then let's look at it. I also believe that tax policy should promote growth. If we're going to reduce the deficit and the debt in our country, we have to grow our economy at a faster rate than 2%. And that's how we created a $2 billion surplus in Arkansas, creating 100,000 jobs. And so I'm not promising tax cuts. I'm promising fairness in our tax system, and I'm promising that we're going to have a pro-growth tax policy, and we're going to address the excessive spending that we see in Washington right now.
Ken Berlin has our next question.
Welcome, Governor. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Parts of this have been touched on, but what innovations did you do when you were governor of Arkansas that you feel you could get approved and across in as president?
Well, we innovated in education through Leading the Nation computer science education policy. We innovated in terms of applying some more practical transformation of state government to make it more efficient. We utilized technologies to reduce the dependency upon employees and make it more efficient and responsive to the taxpayers and to the consumers. I come from the Sam Walton School of Government, which is the customer is always right, and you listen to the customer, and that's the taxpayers. I'll tell you one story I think was innovative. We had a unit of government that had about 1,000 employees, and we're losing money. They're providing a service that the private sector also provided. And so my administrators came to me and said, we either need to shut it down or we need to subsidize it. And I said, well, we're losing money on it. The private sector does it. We're competing with the private sector. So let's just treat it as a business unit and sell it to the private sector. And of course, they're thinking, well, this is government. If we do that, all the employees are going to leave. I said, well, let's apply a private sector principle. So let's tell the employees that if you stick through us to the end, we sell the unit, then we'll give you part of the profit that we make as a retention bonus. They all stayed. We sold it for, I think it was over $30 million, and we shared some of that income with the employees. That's innovative. That's the kind of practical management experience I think that we need in government.
Thank you very much.
As we wrap up here, we got about a minute left, Governor. I'm curious for your perspective. We talked a lot about Arkansas. What is it about your state? It seems like we see, just as New Hampshire sends a lot of important people to the national level, we've had President Clinton and others have come out of Arkansas, whereas some surrounding states don't always send those people to the national level. What is it about Arkansas that brings forth so many leaders, do you think?
Oh, I think it's just like New Hampshire. We have the hill country of Arkansas, which is started out with the bootleggers that were against the federal revenuers, and then it started with just the independence that they have in the hill country, not relying upon government, thinking about how you're going to be able to carve your future out of the poor soil that you had. and that's not the Delta, that's just the hill country. But you know, that spirit of independence produced Sam Walton, that created Walmart. It produced Don Tyson, Tyson's Food, J.B. Hunt Trucking, entrepreneurs that just through their own mindset created global companies. And I think you apply that to the political arena. Arkansas has always impacted the world stage. And so you always look beyond the horizons of your state. It's also part of my faith, that my faith believes that we're here on earth to accomplish something and to use the talents that God has given you for the greater good. And that we're going to be held accountable for what we've been blessed with. And so that's part of public service, that faith motivates you, and I think that's part of the soil of Arkansas as well, just as I see that part of the soil in New Hampshire.
All right, Governor, we've hit the 30-minute mark.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time and for
Thank
joining
you,
us
Adam.
on Conversation with the Candidate. Thank you to all of the audience members for your questions, and thank you to everyone watching at home. Have a great day.